It happened again. The sound was unmistakable, a thunderous, bone-jarring crash just outside my front door, the kind that makes your heart lurch before your mind even catches up. My coffee slipped from my hands, shattering across the tiles as I ran for the porch. I didn't have to look to know what happened. Sure enough, there it was, my mailbox, or what was left of it, smashed into splinters and lying face down in a grave of what used to be my wife's favorite tulips. And tearing off down the street in a cloud of dust. The white Escalade, the Queen barge, as they called it, blaring its horn like some deranged victory lap. I could see Nancy at the wheel, her round face squished up in laughter, and beside her, Barbara filming the whole thing on her phone like she was producing the pilot for a reality show called How to Ruin Your Neighborhood. That was the third time in 8 weeks. I stood there, fist clenched, watching them disappear, my mailbox mangled for the third time in 2 months, third time. No apology, no note, not even the pretense of oops. Just those two, Nancy and Barbara, the self-proclaimed queens of the cul-de-sac, declaring war on my patience and, evidently, my mail. When they first moved in 6 months ago, I thought maybe the neighborhood was just unlucky. Turns out we were under siege. They were impossible to ignore, florally dressed, always sweating, always yelling, never, ever at fault. Their perfume hit you a block away, that thick cloud of fake cherries and sunscreen. And the Queen barge? That beast was their chariot and battering ram. My mailbox was just the most obvious target. The first time they hit it, they called it an accident. Sure, accidents happen. I let it go. Second time, I didn't even slow down. When I caught Barbara about it, she just laughed, sipping her Diet Coke like she was doing me a favor. Maybe don't put it so close to the road, she said, smirking. That's where mailboxes go, I answered. Well, maybe if it was prettier, I'd try not to hit it. Ugly things are hard to see. You know what I mean? It wasn't just a mailbox. They parked across driveways, blocked trash pickups, partied until 2 a.m., called the HOA on anybody who dared look at them funny. Once they accused Mr. Everett, an 82-year-old man who walks with a cane, of verbal assault because he politely asked them to turn down their speakers. But the mailbox that was personal, that was mine. After the second incident, I went to the HOA. We'll look into it, they promised, but they never did. I filed a police report. The officer told me unless I had proof it was intentional, it was a civil matter. No charges, no consequences. Meanwhile, my mailbox looked like it had lost a fight with a dump truck. So, I bought a camera motion activated, wide-angle, top-of-the-line. It cost me more than my last vacation, but I needed evidence. Didn't take long to get it. 2 weeks later, I watched it happen live on my phone. Nancy floored it, lined up the Queen barge, and plowed into my mailbox like she was trying to set a speed record. Splinters flew. Barbara laughed so hard, she spilled her iced coffee all over herself. They didn't even stop. I showed the HOA the footage. Their answer: we'd prefer neighbors to handle these things among themselves. Call the police again. Still looks like an accident. An accident with a laugh track. Yeah, that happened. I confronted them the next day, video in hand. Nancy barely looked at it. Photoshop, she sniffed. It's a video, I said. Deep fake, Barbara replied, eyes glued to her phone. I told them they were targeting my property. Nancy stepped closer, breath thick with peanut butter crackers. You put your mailbox too close to the street. You're begging for someone to hit it. That's where the city put it, I said. Then the city's dumb, Barbara snapped. Or maybe you're just trying to scam us for insurance money. I stared at them, jaw locked. Their smugness was impenetrable. That night, I sat in my garage staring at what used to be my mailbox. Nothing left but busted wood and the faint smell of gasoline. It wasn't anger anymore, just exhaustion. I was tired of playing defense, tired of fixing what they destroyed. I started Googling indestructible mailbox. Turns out I wasn't alone. Folks out in rural America have been dealing with mailbox vandals for years. Steel posts, concrete bases, even mailboxes embedded in boulders. There were forums, guides, even Mimosone showed a steel box with the caption, "They hit me once. Never again." That's when the idea hit me. Why not fight back? Next morning, I cleared out my garage and got to work. I wasn't building a mailbox. I was building a monument, a fortress, a warning, a trap. I bought a 4-inch steel pipe, 6 feet long, buried 3 feet of it in concrete, filled it with rebar, sealed it like a bank vault. The box itself looked normal from the outside, black aluminum, shiny chrome flag. Underneath, though, it was bolted to half an inch of steel. It was bait. At midnight, under the dull glow of a crescent moon, I poured the concrete, set the base, wiped sweat from my brow, and whistled. By morning, it was done. The Queen barge wouldn't stand a chance. I watched from my window, sipping coffee as Nancy and Barbara waddled outside, today's dresses covered in daisies. Barbara filmed, Nancy grumbled, and I waited. They didn't try anything that day, or the next, or the one after that. Maybe they sensed something was different. Or maybe, just maybe, they were cooking up something bigger. Then came the day. 6:42 a.m., Tuesday, sun barely up. I heard the revving engine, tires squealing. I ran to the window just in time to see the Queen barge barreling down the street. Nancy hunched over the wheel like some maniacal race car driver. Barbara holding her phone out the window, ready to catch the moment. There was a screech, a sickening metallic crunch, a puff of steam, and suddenly the Queen barge was dead on my lawn. The bumper crumpled, the tire exploded, the whole front end folded like a cheap suit. My mailbox, still standing. Not even a scratch. Nancy stumbled out, face twisted in rage and disbelief, Barbara limping, clutching her phone. "You sabotaged us," Nancy screamed. "You can't do this. That's illegal." "Actually," I replied, "it's within code. I have permits if you want to see them." Within minutes, Officer Ramirez arrived, the same guy who'd called it a civil issue last time. He looked at the wreck, at my mailbox, at the video on my phone. "Looks like you drove straight into it," he said. "Mailbox is city approved." Nancy tried to argue, but even Ramirez was smirking. Their insurance claim was denied. "Intentional collision," the adjuster said. "Not covered. $7,000 in damages." Suddenly, the war wasn't so fun for the twins. Barbara tried spinning it online, posting a video blaming me for vehicular sabotage, but my footage hit Reddit and went viral. Karen, twins versus Mailbox boss. Memes everywhere. Even my mailbox became a symbol. People called it steel justice. Neighbors started taking my side. Even the HOA began to pay attention. The twins, for once, were silent. But I knew they wouldn't give up. People like that never do. A week passed. Then the petty retaliation started. Trash bags tossed in my yard, candy wrappers jammed into my hedges, barbecue sauce smeared across my mailbox. I caught it all on camera. Two grown women, sneaking out in floral robes at 2 a.m. like deranged raccoons. I posted the footage, the Sauce Chronicles. The neighborhood took sides, and the Karens found themselves suddenly outnumbered. Even Mrs. Fleming, queen of the garden club, started muttering, "Men in polyester," as she walked past their house. Then came the HOA showdown. The twins filed complaints accusing me of weaponizing my mailbox. I showed up with a folder full of timestamps, video, witness statements, spreadsheets. The board took one look and decided. Nancy and Barbara fined $500 a week until the harassment stopped. Legal action threatened if it didn't. The floodgates opened. Neighbors told their own stories, from bribed teenagers to trash gardens. Code enforcement found illegal fire pits, overgrown weeds, even a rusting mattress. Fines piled up. The Queen barge was towed, a broken beast, the twins reduced to pacing their porch and scowling across the street. It didn't stop there. Nancy lost her job after the viral video landed in her HR department. Barbara took to pacing the porch, muttering threats, and occasionally tossing old donuts in my mailbox. But the war, for all intents and purposes, was over. One morning, I stepped outside to pure silence. No perfume clouds, no engines, no sriex. Just the quiet buzz of summer, the sun glinting off my steel fortress. I knew peace, finally, though I caught Barbara watching me, a calculating look in her eyes. You know what? People like that don't forget, don't forgive, they just wait for the next move. And that's fine, because now so do I. If you enjoyed this wild ride through neighborly warfare, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, was I right to fight back, But did I go too far? What would you have done? Let's see where the line really is when justice gets a little creative.